Hello everyone, welcome back to Cloud Institution, the best software training institution. So now today we are going to see another very important interview questions that can be asked in wide variety of interviews. Okay, so today the interview question is going to be what are the different EC2 instance types available. Okay, so we have seen a lot of interview questions before, on various topics. Now today we are going to see that what are the specific what are the different types of instances available in EC2 instances. Okay, so this particular question can be asked in various interviews to 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 test your knowledge on so what type of instances you'll be choosing for what purpose. Okay, so this particular interview question will will be explaining such a way that so you have to go into AWS console and you have to type AWS .amazon.com and you can just type EC2 and instance types. Okay, you can also search this in the Google. We'll get into these pages. So these are all the instance types are available. Okay, so first one is so these are all the instances will be which can be used for various purposes, right? So general purpose. So what is general purpose? General purpose is the instance provide the balanced compute. Okay, so if you're so these kind of instances can be selected for your based on your the application types. Okay, if your application is having a balanced compute and memory and networking resources, everything is being balanced. Okay, so it's kind of a normal application. There is no major major hike on the memory or on the CPU resources. Then you can go for a you can go for a balanced computes. Okay, so it's a kind of a general purpose, right? So general purpose is can be improvised based on the compute memory, and it can be balanced one, right? So that if you can see that the general purpose instances can be so have a range of so have start with the M7, it's almost like start with the M and then T, so the M series and T series, so if the interviewer asks you that, so what is the general purpose instances name start with, means you can just see it like so M and then T2. And T2 is the kind of a common EC2 instance type that can be used, that is being used in most of the places, right? So T2.micro is a default free tier image, and T3 dot no medium and T2 dot micro and nano instances. So these are all kind of a very small instances, right? So that is what called general purpose. This is the compute optimized. So what do you mean by compute optimized? Okay, so let's see what is compute optimized, right? So we can see here, and let's go to EC2 instance now, and we can just see the EC2 instance in detail. Okay, it's taking a while. Now, if you can go for launch instances, okay, so if you can see here, so there is a compute optimized, and you can have a the higher compute range. So here you can see C8.G will be having so one CPU. Okay, so similarly, so if you can see C8.9, which can have a 32 CPUs, and if you're using so something more CPU intensive workloads, then you can use the compute optimized. So how to find these images, so different type of images. So you can go for here, right? So as I mentioned with you, T3.micro is kind of a general purpose, and so you can just find all the instance types over here as well. So whenever you're choosing the instance types, okay, you can just search with the C8. Okay, so you can just see, you can just see C8 if you can search with this one. So okay, so you can choose any kind of any of these instances like this. Okay, so these are all the memory intensive so memory intensive workloads. You can use it for so this I mean these are all the uh, the instance types can be used for so the higher memory usage workloads. Okay, so next one is memory optimized. Okay, so what is memory optimized is the instances are designed to deliver the fast performance workloads to process large data sets in memory. In memory, for example, if you're using in-memory databases, so for example, if you're using Redis cache or so this kind of in-memory databases, then you have to be going with know the memory intensive workloads. Okay, so that's what called memory optimized workloads, right? So if you go this one, so it's the R series, RAM series, right? So we can call it the RAM. So R is stand for RAM. So these are all the things, it can be used for use highest memory. So the thing is, it can have 192, but it can have, as you can see here, this particular instance is having almost like 1500 GB of RAM. Okay, so the advanced computing. So if you're using any kind of advanced computing and AI based, okay, so AI based intelligent performings, then you can go for accelerated computing. So accelerated computing, it can give you so use for hardware acceleration or co-processor to perform the functions such as the floating points number calculations and graphic processing and this kind of advanced data processings and so you can just use the advanced accelerated computing instances. Okay, so then this one is a storage optimized. Okay, if you're using any kind of databases related instances, if you're trying to use large amount of data in your EC2 instance itself, or if you're using any kind of instances for logging purpose, okay, storage optimized can be used. Or if you're using for if you're using higher IO rates, some of the database operations, if you're using if you want IO operations, input output operations per seconds, right? So then you can go with a storage optimized so devices instances. So HPC optimized again. So high performance computing optimized, so built-in offer to best price performance for running a high performance computing workloads, scale. So as instances are ideal for applications that benefit for higher performance processors. Okay, if you're using higher performance, higher calculations, kind of a complex, the complex advanced calculations for so most probably, if you're using for rocket sciences, if you're using for higher processing to calculate more number of numbers, then these kind of operations you can use the HPC optimized. Okay, so these are all the okay, so these are all instance types that is being used in AWS. Okay, so if the interviewer asking that, so what is instance types is being asked, is being used in AWS, then you have to straight go to this list, general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, storage optimized, and accelerated computers. So you can just make it like, compute, memory, and CPU, and memory, and then storage. These three are the the major types, and also, and general purpose is commonly used, commonly used instance types, right? So rest accelerated computer and HPC optimized is it's not highly used, in the common applications. Okay, so your answer should be like this, if somebody is asking you the questions like this, right? So now you understand what are the different types of EC2 instances available in AWS. Okay, so hope this interview question is very helpful for you. So you may get this particular question on so a lot of examinations, right? If you go for a cloud computing, cloud practitioner, or solution architect examinations, then these kind of questions will be highly asked. Okay, so please be prepared on these kind of questions, right? So that's it about this video, guys, and thank you so much for watching this video. And if you like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please stay tuned for rest of the videos in the future.